Everyone,
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up,
shut
pick it up.
Noah's about to have another ska era, and I think I'm kind of ready for it
no.
this time.
Oh, well.
I just learned I'm
It's
about to
good
have
you've
a ska
emotionally
era.
prepared yourself.
Yes, I'm ready.
You know what happened is I put on my 2022 and 2021 playlists
And the
in
same
the car.
ska playlist,
and-
ska song played like 3 times.
Okay, the playlists are really short. It's after my playlists back when I was blogging about music. My yearly playlists have like 30 songs on them. Now that I stopped paying attention to music in as quote unquote professional a way,
Right, as focused,
I have
right?
my playlists have turned into topping out at 20 usually. And the 2022 playlist is very short. So shit, fuck, damn it played 3 times while we were out and about.
Who's that by?
Couldn't tell you, but it's really catchy.
It's very catchy.
SFDD, great song.
It's
I
fun.
saw, like, on TikTok, somebody was like, the Bible says that Christ is going to return with the sound of trumpets or something. And they're like, does that just mean he's going to be in a ska band? And
How do you know he wasn't already?
real, you know?
That's what I'm
Who
saying.
could say?
Y'all heard about real big fish? You know who else knew a thing or two about big fish?
You're so
Something
right.
else. Something.
Real big loaves and fish, they call him.
Skank King of Kings.
Oh, damn. We've been looking
Oh,
in the wrong
shit.
place this whole time.
Hey, music festival scene, where is Skanking Jesus? I need him in my life.
Of all
There's
the
like 3 or
jackasses
4
who think that
Jesuses
it's a fun
at
thing
every
to just dress up as Jesus and go stand around someplace, why are none of them being themed ska Jesus?
yeah.
I was just talking to Edge
Jesus
about this, actually.
in a fedora and checkered robes or regular robes with a checkered sash.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Okay.
funnier if it's regular robes with like checkered suspenders attached somehow.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
my thought
Yeah,
that I
makes
Red
had.
sense.
sash
Real.
with the checkered suspenders attached to the sash
Yeah.
That's-
to hold his robes up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't have
he
your
can
robes falling down.
that's what I'm saying.
He's got like
Can't,
Anyway.
can't have him
wine
exposing
chalice.
that Christ schlong.
Well, right. I mean, that would be
You know, speaking of
Exactly.
Got
schlong,
the
I want to
staccato
jump.
on it.
I want to. Speaking of
Stigmata.
schlong,
That's what it is.
stigmata.
The stigma.
anyway, can I lead us into ghouls?
What is that?
I was about to do it. Oh my god!
I thought you were gonna say lead us not into temptation, but deliver
Yeah,
us
I
from
want to
evil.
lead us not into temptation, but into Gabbing the Ghouls, the segment of the podcast where we talk about movies we watch between recordings. And there's one movie that we all watched, and yes, this is related
Let's say
to
it
dogs.
all at the same time.
1, 2, 3. Frosty the
Nosferatu.
Snowman.
Oh.
Nosferatu. It was Nosferatu. I didn't watch Frosty the Snowman, but I
Me
did watch
neither.
Hot Frosty a second time. Because I went to visit. I'll get my ghouls out of the way really fast because I don't have anything new. I went and visited my family, and I rewatched Coraline, Abigail, and Hot Frosty. 2 of those because I was showing them to my family because I like them, and the third because my little sisters decided to put it on, and then I said I've already seen it, and they're like, oh, that's cool. And then about halfway through, my youngest sister turned to me and said, why have you seen this? Like I'm the one who
You
put
should
it on.
have been
And I'm
like, if you listened to
need
my
an
podcast,
excuse?
you would
Like-
know.
Yeah.
that's what I did say.
Yeah,
I did
Hot
say
Frosty,
that.
the Hot Frosty podcast where we hot about Frosty.
Yeah.
That's
There was a
that's
very
Anyway.
my family had a movie night last night over Discord, and there was a very real possibility that I was gonna try to convince them to watch Hot Frosty.
What did you guys watch instead?
It's the
We
movie
watched-
of the season.
The best Christmas movie, Klaus.
Real.
keep hearing
Klaus
about
is
this.
so good.
It's so fucking good.
It's so good.
They were giving my brother Dan a hard time because Dan openly admitted at the beginning, he was like, this movie always makes me cry. And so there are like 5 emotional parts in that movie. And at each one, they kept being like, oh, is Dan crying? Is Dan crying? And I'm like, not me casually letting Dan take the flack for crying when I too am crying.
Literally.
Emma unmuting. Yeah, muting again, sobbing.
It's really good. But Nosferatu was also, in my
Nosferatu
opinion,
was incredible.
Nosferatu was so good.
I liked Nosferatu, the
Yep.
freak movie for freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
I was like so curious what Nosferatu was going to look like because they kept it a big secret. And obviously you've got like old Nosferatu who just looks like a funny guy. And I wasn't sure like what approach they were going to go with like the visual effects of this one. But dear God, for one, this team better get an Oscar for like makeup because that was insane. It looked nothing like Bill Skarsgård.
One shot where I was like, "That's Bill Skarsgård under there." One.
Yeah, Jade and I were talking about it, and it's like you literally he disappears in that role almost fully. I think there is only one scene that I'm like, "Oh, there's Bill."
Yeah,
like his voice was incredible.
His voice was fantastic. Oh my God.
I can't believe that came out of a person. I need footage of him using that voice. Like
I have seen an interview where he was talking about how he did it, and he was talking about how he had to get to set early because he had to like practice the voice so that it didn't sound forced. So he did a bunch of voice training, and he's like, I would sing and I would growl and I would do it and do whatever voice training I needed to do on set day of. And then he kind of starts to like do some of the warm-ups even during that interview. First of all the cast and Robert Eggers are like hard eyes at this man as he's starting to go like bah. And then it's deep. It's not quite as deep as he gets it in the role, but it's really me too. I'm also starting to get a little bit like, oh my God, really?
Because like you see the interview clips where it's like, he went to an opera voice trainer to lower his voice an octave, and you think, well, what does that sound like?
It's not an entire octave, I don't think. But
then you watch the movie and it's like, just an octave?
Yeah, it's
that's pretty fucking deep.
Did he go to the evil wizard to get evil wizard voice training as well?
I kind of wonder if he's doing the same kind of stuff that Gary Oldman was doing when he was Dracula. Because that's something that he did for that as well, is he did the voice training to get his voice deeper and whatnot.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not as I am interested, but I feel like it's
not nearly as good when he does it though. Is the thing Bill really knocked it out?
We were talking about this a little bit around Christmas, but I appreciate the fact that even though every single Skarsgård is like God's biggest nepo baby, they know that, so they actually work hard to make sure that they have earned their status as well. Like, how many modern actors do you know that are going and getting voice training? It's really not as many as it used to be.
No.
It's, you see the Tom Cruise interviews where he's talking to
Tim Dune.
Tim Dune about how, hey, congrats on getting the role as Tim Dune. You should get fencing lessons because they're not going to pay for that for you anymore. And you should get like close combat lessons because they don't pay for that anymore. And this is how you will elevate yourself as a star. And it's like Bill Skarsgård doing the same shit with his fucking, hello, I'm Count Orlok, 7 down.
He's also getting just a little bit Andy Serkis with it, but without the problem that Andy Serkis ended up having from that.
Yes. Well, because Pennywise and Count Orlok are very different characters.
Absolutely. God.
And
neither of them is completely CG, which is very helpful also.
Yes. Count Orlok, one thing is, you said, like we were talking, Emma said earlier about how the original Nosferatu looks much like a silly little guy.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing fan art that properly silly little guysifies this Orlok, but it's a very different type of silly little guy.
He's a different dude.
If you could just send that fan art to me, I'd really appreciate it.
Please.
Hold on, I'm gonna go
not for any
it.
particular reason, just to have it around so that you
just
can reference
curious.
it to other
I want to know what it looks
just, like. For science. I love the kind of look that they decided to shoot for with this as well. Like, he's not even dressed like old Orlok. I love the way they have him with like the big ass fuck off coat, the Ushanka that he's wearing in some of the earlier scenes. I love that shit.
Yeah. It's incredibly menacing and paints such like a statuesque figure.
Yeah.
Like in the scenes, which also I can't think of a movie that is more cinematically beautiful that I've seen than this one.
It was really gorgeous.
God,
and the sets
Holy shit.
of the like of like 1830s Germany were so good. They remind me of some of the stuff from like Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd, but better. Or like Les Mis, like the 2012 movie, where it's like I want to go to there. Not plague there, but like it looks
but regular
so cool.
there.
Oh, yeah, but you look at it and you're never thinking this is a movie set. It's just, this is a place, and it just looks like that.
Yeah.
One of the things I love is Robert Eggers could so easily fall into the modern era Netflix trap of dark movie. Because he's very committed to natural lighting in his stuff.
And I love the way he does it.
That's what I'm saying. When he does natural lighting, he's got like behind the camera, there's 7,000 candles that they are making sure the room is lit with natural candlelight, but he also is aware he cannot light the room properly with only the stuff on screen. And his nighttime scenes, he makes sure that they are still bathed in light, but it's cold, frigid moonlight.
And on top of that, he plays with his colors and shadows in such cool ways. Oh my god.
Which is something for this very specifically I was so pleased with, because the shadows in the original Nosferatu are very important. Huge. The shadows in the 1979 Nosferatu, just like the original, very important. And I was really worried that since that is a film language we have drifted away from, because shadows aren't as much fun to play with as some other things now, I guess, if you're a loser.
True.
So to see that not only did Eggers bring in amazing light work, but his shadows really helped also dominate their scenes in a good way, it makes me very happy.
Jumping off on that, something that I really loved was how the lighting accentuated the characters' face structures. I loved how gaunt they got Nicholas Hoult to look in a lot of the shots.
Like
and then some of the nighttime scenes with was it Lily Rose Depp as Ellen? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Some of the nighttime scenes, I found myself flashing back to the way that Ellen looks in the original German Expressionist film because of how sunken her eyes look. It looks like the old silent film makeup because of the way that he's lit it. And it just really struck home for me why he cast her. Because I initially was like, okay, she definitely has a face for this time period. I'm not thinking like, oh, you miscast, she looks too modern or anything. But I was like, for Ellen, maybe. And then the more the film went on, I was like, no, I get it for sure. I think the only person, and I loved his performance, but the only person who looked, maybe I've just seen him in too much recently. And it's unfortunate that Craven came out right around this time. But Aaron Taylor Johnson, I loved his performance. I loved his character. He was one of my favorite parts of the movie. But generally, just his styling looked 2012 Les Mis, parentheses, derogatory. So
I get that.
But other than that, everyone looked. Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Oh my god.
The main thing I see people complaining about with this movie is people have been calling it slow, which I dislike.
It's a Robert Eggers movie.
Yeah, I'm like, have you not watched a Robert Eggers movie before?
That's just
kind of coming in with the wrong expectations. But also I was enraptured the entire. I was enraptured the entire time. I was
couldn't take my eyes off it.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, agreed.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Special shout out to the carriage scene because that was a cool as hell scene.
That was really cool.
Oh, the way he stands there in the middle of the crossroads as the carriage comes up,
and the framing of the crossroads, just in general.
It's the way it turns into a big inverted cross.
It looks so
no matter what angle you're looking at.
He's just standing there. And the sounds, really the sound design, and the music.
Oh man, I was talking to people at work about this today. But and this is. I'm very proud of us. No spoilers here. We're so good at this. But I was talking about this with people at work, and truly the grossest part of this gross ass movie, complimentary, is the gulping.
Oh yeah.
The slurp.
The drinking noises, TM.
Fucking gross.
Yeah.
Fluids aside,
Good
the
stuff.
Gulping was truly appalling.
Good stuff, yeah.
Great sound design.
But hey, if gulping's your thing, chat, then Nosferatu.
There's a lot of things
now.
that have if you have a thing, this movie might have that thing. So just be aware of that.
This movie has a lot of things.
And
this
no matter
has a lot
what
of things.
else it's doing, it's got Willem Dafoe, so it's gonna be worth watching.
Willem Dafoe is great in this.
Actually...
Well, and the guy from who's the dad in The Witch, who Eggers clearly enjoys casting.
Yeah.
I love him. He was
great.
in The First Omen as well, and I really liked him in First
He was
Omen.
in Final Fantasy 16 as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
He's great.
I believe it.
Love that
I
man.
think he's super underrated. He just plays these kind of understated characters that don't get the limelight as much. I loved his character in this one. I loved how he played him.
Actors on this podcast.
I loved his interplay with Defoe. There's some lines in there that are extremely well delivered between the two of them.
Oh yeah.
And their relationship is so fun.
Also on Defoe again.
Yeah.
I think it's great that in a character that is a very eccentric, out there character, we could have gotten a really hammy, bad performance from Defoe.
He keeps it so reined in.
Yeah, you can tell he's having a ball,
That's
but he
because
keeps it dialed.
There's a point where he goes off the rails, and it's the point where he needed to.
He needs to be able to build to it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're starting to border on too much.
This is a
discussion.
Nosferatu episode, everybody.
God. Hey, thematically it works.
Noah, what was that critical consensus?
Right?
The critical consensus on Nosferatu. No,
actually, critics seem to not like it as much as we
critics
do.
seem to be
once again,
mixed,
critics are fucking wrong,
opinions.
and I don't care what they think. This is a good
Legitimately.
movie.
True.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Come
some
on.
of the people I have seen, I understand why they might think that, but to me,
They're wrong.
they're wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other ghouls? I already got my ghouls out of the way.
I got 14.
14.
Counting Nosferatu twice. I saw Nosferatu twice.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, because they had a Nosferatu party, and then I got back in town, and I didn't get to see Nosferatu while I was out of town. So I got to take Noah, and I went on a Nosferatu date.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
Cute.
Noah, what are your other 12 movies? All of them,
All right,
I
so-
imagine, are Christmas themed.
The 12 Days
Oh,
of
there's-
Christmas, as it were.
There is one that I forgot.
I did get 6 Christmas movies in, actually, on Christmas Day. Now, Frosty the Snowman is 13 minutes long, so it barely counts. But
Wait, did we watch that on Christmas?
I did
How
with
much was I
Edge.
drinking? Oh, that was before
You
I got
were
out
asleep.
of bed. Okay.
Yeah.
I was really worried.
Yeah, you were
for a
like,
second
oh,
there.
wah,
Like,
I
I've got-
can't see because my eyes have cat hair in them, wah, wah.
Yeah, I don't think it was cat hair. I woke up Christmas morning with something horrible in one of my eyes, and I couldn't get it out for an hour and a half. It was awful.
Was
That
it
sucks.
Sin?
I still don't know. I still don't know what it was. Maybe it was. Maybe it was sin.
Crack cocaine.
We may never know.
Anyway, so I've watched several things. So
Christmas
it
marathon.
feels so goofy to rewind 20 days. No, I'm sorry, 12 days to look at some of this other stuff. But
Christmas.
here we are. Nina and I finally completed Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No
Nice.
Tales.
Yeah.
And
Hell
I gotta
yeah.
say,
Mia
Dead
was
Men
Tell
talking
No
about
Tales.
that in the Discord the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Men Tell No Tales better than on Stranger Tides.
Because, as we talked about in the Discord, they put Jack back in the role of backup
Side
character.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a comedic little fellow. He's not the lead.
A silly little
He's
guy.
bad as the lead.
I think
It's still a bad movie, though.
it's not a good
Damn.
movie. It's very bad. I love Javier Bardem, and I love what he's doing in this movie, which is nothing.
Oh, yeah. Javier Bardem is like, so I'm going to be an undead pirate captain? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, any leads on this? Any context? No.
This is
Okay.
constantly happening to Javier Bardem, I gather. He just takes roles and then shows up and nobody tells him shit.
Makes sense. I just
love
loved how
him.
often he threw around hombre, which was a
Not
wildly
the right slang for a
anachronistic.
Spaniard.
Because I'm like, oh, we're in the modern era in Mexico. Great
Not
times.
right at all. There were
Um,
some interesting choices made there.
But, that being said, back to Nosferatu posting. I watched Nosferatu The Vampire, Werner Herzog's 1979 remake, which was Nosferatu in name only partially. The character names are all out of Dracula. It is a Dracula adaptation.
Oh.
The minute it hit public access, right?
Oh, okay.
The minute he was allowed, but it's still a Nosferatu adaptation because he took the design of Nosferatu, the story generally, and the names from Dracula. So
Yeah, okay.
Orlok is named Dracula, and I think that's so funny.
That's really funny.
That's really funny. Yeah.
Herzog's a weirdo, affectionate.
I'm excited to see more of his films because
I watched forever ago. I watched a Werner Herzog like mockumentary about the Loch Ness monster. I think he was in it. I don't think it was him who made it, and it was one of the most like surprising things I've ever watched. I found it incredibly charming, and he was there in it.
He's just such an interesting guy. Me and Rye ended up looking up a bunch about him because we're like, what's this guy's deal? Very weird fellow. But I really enjoyed his I really enjoyed what he's doing here. It's frankly, if you allow yourself to slip into the world, it's one of the bleakest vampire movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Bleaker than the 2024 one?
Yeah. By a wide margin. It's actually very much a downer. And just like the 2024 one, his lead actress has a face for silent film, and I think that's really cool. Let's see. That's kind of it, isn't it? I watched Red Dragon. It's fine. It's not that great. I'm excited to watch Manhunter again now that I have read the book, because it's the same movie. Red Dragon and Manhunter are adaptations of Red Dragon, the novel, but one has everyone's favorite Hannibal the Cannibal, and one has the other one, not Anthony Hopkins.
And not Mads Mikkelsen either.
Not Mads Mikkelsen either. But he is also reduced to the role that he had in the book, which is he's not very present. Which is another issue that people took with it because everyone was kind of hopped up on
that Hannibal.
The Hannibal at that point. So,
Gotta leave them wanting more.
How do we feel about A Christmas Story here in the chat?
I've never seen it.
I'm into it.
What?
I don't know that I've seen it.
Oh my god.
There's so many Christmas movies. I gotta look up and see.
This is You'll Shoot Your Eye Out?
Oh, great story. I watched this for the first time like a couple of years ago. I may have gabbed about it back then.
Does it hold up when you didn't grow up with it?
I didn't like it.
there you go. That does not surprise me.
I don't think that's an answer. I think that's Emma's answer.
I had more thoughts about it like back then, like more kind of constructive feedback and thoughts of like why I didn't like it particularly. But the one that I do remember is that it just ends at such a weird, like racist kind of place. And I'm like, why did we do this?
The final joke is not one that sits well now.
No. But Noah, how'd you like it? Do you like racism? No.
Well, see, there's no good way for me to talk about this movie now. Y'all kind of poisoned the well on this one.
Whoa. To be fully clear, I'm getting canceled with you. I like the movie.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot harder for me to say it's like one of my top 2 Christmas movies when y'all really talk about how you don't like it.
A lot of old Christmas movies have some serious issues.
Yeah.
Some this is just
Bing Crosby.
That's why Klaus is the best.
Some of them have Bing Crosby in them. Some of them are Holiday Inn.
Yeah. Or White Christmas.
White Christmas isn't racist.
White Christmas at least has the benefit of having Danny Kaye in it, but you still got to deal with Bing Crosby the whole fucking time. God.
A man with the soulless eyes who's just like, I'm Bing Crosby.
I can't wait to go to Vermont.
I'm dreaming. I love Vermont. Snow. Anyway, I like A Christmas Story. I have soured on it in years past, where it's just like, yeah, okay, what the fuck ever. I've seen this fucking movie hundreds of times, but it really kind of stabbed me in the kidneys this year. I really liked it a lot this year. I do not like A Christmas Story Christmas.
Yeah, I kind of hated it.
That's the sequel?
There's 2 sequels.
Wow.
One is really, really bad, and this one is passable.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay.
But there's a lot of moments in this that they just... It's too nostalgia forward. It is a movie that is evoking the other movie.
Hey, you remember that movie that you loved?
Exactly, and I did not care for that personally. Exactly, yeah.
That's all it's doing.
Soy face. Soy point. But you know what movie is fun is The Santa Claus, with an E at the end. Say what you will about Tim Allen, you're probably correct.
And I will.
But I do racist.
love... Yeah, speaking of bigots. I love the Santa Claus so much.
It's a fun movie.
And especially on like a rewatch, it's so funny that like all the things I had written off as, yeah, everyone hates psychiatrists. No, this is just like Tim's like politics slipping into this movie. Like, yeah, psychiatrists are an easy like punching down point for a lot of that era of comedy.
He seems to think that pointing at the fact that the one character is a psychiatrist is a joke by itself, which I think that notion is funny.
Yeah.
Only because he actually thinks it.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I wanted to say R.E. the Santa Claus. I saw someone on TikTok talking about the reason that Christmas movies suck now is because Santa is like fundamentally in like conflict with the military industrial complex. Because Red 1 is a good example of this, but there's also like Arthur Christmas did this a little bit. There have been like modern Santa movies where they try and make him a badass, and I think the only time that that's worked was Rise of the Guardians, but that's because they did something completely different with him in that one. And like, we need more Christmas movies where we just are doing goofy shit.
That is actually, it's, if I may, it's another issue of the internet samesing everything, where everything has to be able to appeal to everyone. People are like, well, Christmas movies are doing worse. Yeah, no shit, buddy. We watch them like 1 month out of the year, generally speaking, maybe less for many other people. So obviously they're never going to be that popular, but the reason no new ones take off is because they're trying to make them just like every other new movie that's coming out.
They're trying to do action blockbuster Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Chris Evans, Kurt Russell shit. And it's like David Arbor. Who else? We have like a semi-popular man that can grow a beard. He's Santa Claus now. Like, Santa Claus was not the famous actors in these old movies.
No.
Like freaking Elf.
Well, yeah.
Yes, except for Tim Allen. But like Elf.
Yeah, who's that? That's a guy that they just dressed up as Santa.
Klaus isn't the main character in Klaus, or like the Santa Claus TM character is not the main character of Klaus. Like the way that we tell these stories is like, yes, he's not the main character of Red One, so they're trying, but it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, man. Hello. So I think that we need a reset on that in a big way, which is why I'm so glad Klaus exists, because you have like an animated, like, independent project that's focusing mostly on the art of the animation in it. Good. But we don't get that incredible out of mainstream.
And I'll watch it someday.
I believe you.
I think also an issue is people who are so caught up in their brand that they don't watch other movies. I saw someone on Blue Sky who was like, this is the only Christmas movie I'll be watching. And it was The Mean One, the shit ass like slasher Grinch movie. And he's like, yeah, this sucks ass. And it's like, brother, there are so many really good Christmas movies.
I can't believe
It's a Wonderful Life is a perfect film.
I can't believe they finally invented a guy that I hate more than the guy who says Die Hard is his favorite Christmas movie. They said it couldn't be done.
Oh my God. Every day at work last week was everyone saying, and I'm watching Die Hard, obviously. And I'm like, I don't fucking care that you're watching Die Hard.
Die Hard. Shut up.
You're not funny.
Know. God.
You're allowed. Just, I don't care.
Go watch the fucking Addams Family movie or some shit. Like,
there are so many movies that have Christmas in them.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. Nosferatu has Christmas in it.
Nosferatu has a Christmas in it.
Yeah.
Someone tried to ask me if Nosferatu was a Christmas movie. I'm like, shut the fuck up. They're like, it came out at Christmas. It happens around Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was saying too. Yes.
Sure, just watch
it. My family next year.
We all love penis in our Christmas movies, right?
Yeah. That's why we reviewed Rare Exports on this podcast. Yeah. Unironically, yeah.
God, we got to watch that again. That was great.
That was fun. Anyway.
I keep meaning to watch Sisu. I can't believe I missed it while it was in theaters. I'm a fake.
What other movies did you watch, Noah?
Fan.
I don't know. I watched a bunch of other stuff, but it was like mostly. I watched National Lampoons. We all hate Chevy Chase. Everyone say fuck Chevy Chase. Fuck Chevy Chase.
Did you hear? Apparently, the director for Saturday Night, that movie about the first
What, Chevy Chase is like threatening him about it or something? He was like,
apparently like they had a special screening for like old like cast members and stuff, and Chevy was there. And after the movie, Chevy went up to him and like put his hand on his shoulder and was like, "You should be really embarrassed about that."
That's how
It's
you know
like,
you made a
what
good
the
fucking
fuck?
You
movie.
should be really embarrassed about that, Chevy.
Congratulations. Good
That's
job,
your
Chevy Chase.
legacy.
Congratulations that everyone knows you're such an asshole that he could make you a cartoonish asshole in the movie, and people left going, and he wasn't even bad enough. Congratulations,
no
brother.
offense to Joel McHale, I haven't heard anything about him that would actually make me think he's like a terrible person or anything. He just seems like, you know, a run-of-the-mill kind of celebrity jerk. But it's still making me feel like he's a hero when he talks about throwing hands with Chevy Chase.
Yeah, talking about how easy it was to get him riled up enough on Community that he would throw the first punch so that he could deck him back.
Yeah.
Like, Joel McHale's tall, dude. Chevy Chase is stupid.
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
Anyway,
This
has been the Chevy Chase hate hour.
Fuck that guy. Training Day is really good still, by the way. I think Training Day is a blast. No, it's unrelated. It's Denzel and Ethan Hawke.
Oh, that's right.
This is I'm going to talk about this one for like 3 seconds. This one's really fun because I dare say this is the last of the fuck cops movies that came out post 9/11 because this came out in October of 2001.
Oh, they had
this
already
movie
made
was
it.
done.
Yeah,
this was done. Everything was finished. And this does not paint LA cops in a good light. Denzel literally shows his police gang tattoo in it. You know, like, it's very explicit what this is about, and I really enjoy it. I think it's great. I watched it once years ago.
We started to watch it together. I was too sleepy.
Yeah, Nina was too tired. So I ended up finishing it on my own while Nina was out of town. And I was like, boo-hoo, I'm so sad and alone. So
Oh my God.
I watched it. I finished it on Christmas Eve, apparently. I got out of work that night. I went home and I finished it around like 12:30 in the morning.
Nice.
So it got logged as a Christmas Eve watch, but it was actually
so
the 23rd, if we're being completely honest.
okay, sure.
Maybe I did it on Christmas Eve after I got home. That's possible too. That is what happened. Oh my God. LOL. Anyway, I think it's great though. I think it's worth a watch. It's, it's kind of a grimy little nasty movie, and I think it actually earned its spot in a way that does get better as the years go by.
Nice.
But that's it for me.
All
Smiley
right.
face.
Jade, do you want to go?
I have got a rather limited number of ghouls, as a number of mine are also Noah's Christmas movies, because if you can believe it, we were at the same place on Christmas.
That's insane.
Crazy.
I am going to jump back to Nosferatu real quick, actually. First, just to say, I was extremely doubtful of the casting decisions on a handful of characters, and every one of them proved me wrong. Lily Rose Depp was the big one. I was just kind of like, well, I don't know. I've seen her in a couple of things, and I'm not really all that impressed. She actually paid her rent on this one, though. Like, she is not coasting on her dad's name, as I have accused her of in the past. She actually did really, really good and swung really hard on what she was doing in this one, and I'm thrilled, honestly. Really impressed.
Nice. Yeah.
Also, just goddamn.
I say nice as if I don't agree.
Right. Also, just God, the atmosphere on that movie. Oh, holy shit!
It's so
fantastic,
good.
just front to back. All right, so Christmas Eve. Upon getting home from the same family Christmas gathering that Noah just mentioned getting home from, I sat down with my mom and my younger sibling, and we watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Is there a perfect movie? Because I think if there is, it's that one.
I think it's Hot Fuzz, but I also think you're right too.
We're making our pantheon of perfect movies. It's a Wonderful Life, Hot Fuzz, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Emma, what's your perfect movie? We need a fourth one.
Noah, your perfect movie is
Klaus,
It's a Wonderful
obviously.
Klaus is a perfect
It's a Wonderful
movie.
Life is very possibly my perfect movie.
Life. Okay. I'm not disparaging It's a Wonderful Life. It just feels like an odd pick.
Nope, not when
Okay.
you watch it again when you're a little drunk and a lot sad.
I will give that a shot.
I think this season, it will destroy you. Smiley face.
Gotcha.
Nice.
So, anyways, I love
I'll bring my
Brother, Where
Blu-ray
Art
on
Thou?
Monday.
And I actually have seen more Christmas movies in the recent than Noah did, because I hosted a Christmas movie watching day with a group of friends, and I actually did not spend a whole lot of time watching the movies, but The Muppets Christmas Carol still fucks.
Nice.
And Rankin Bass Christmas movies are still the best ones for the most part.
Yep. It's 'cause they maintain the childlike innocence that the Christmas movie needs to function.
And they just don't give a shit about anything at all, you know?
Yeah.
It's just everything that happens in the movie is just fucking whatever. I don't know. They threw socks
then
on
Rudolph
a reindeer's
snorts
antlers.
a line of coke. He goes off to the Norther Pole.
Yeah, further north where there's monsters and prospectors looking for gold, but happy to find peppermint. And don't you know, the monsters are perfectly docile once you pull their fucking teeth out and they bounce at the bottom of a ravine. Shit just happens. The movies are perfect.
That's crazy.
It's the animation that really sells
the Rudolph
all of it.
Animated movie.
Maybe as a kid. It's been a very, very long time.
It's very clear whoever wrote that shit was on coke. You could sorry, I'm not even gonna get into it. It's too much.
Sorry, did you say it's too much?
Slutty
trombone section comes in. That ought to be all of my ghouls, I think. Also, I just watched the first 3 episodes of the Netflix live-action One Piece adaptation. Literally
That's
10 minutes before coming up here to record this podcast, and I'm told that it's a good adaptation. I'm not familiar with the source material, but I want to be now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is
Jade's about to enter her One Piece era.
I can't be a One Piece fan while I still play Warhammer 40k. I'm gonna become the world's most annoying person. I can't let this happen.
No, that's perfect. My turn then, I guess?
It looks like it
for me, yeah.
Since you mentioned a show, I'll also mention a show. I watched Squid Game Season 2.
Oh,
how was it?
It was very well done. Obviously, it's hard as a Season 2 of, the cultural kind of mecca that was Squid Game Season 1 at the time. It's hard to live up to, that level of expectation. However, what they did with this and what they made was extremely effective and well done. It ends on a really crazy cliffhanger. Not so much the kind of cliffhanger where you're like, okay, this is an end of the season cliffhanger. For me, it was this is a end of the episode cliffhanger, and then there should be another episode. But it just kind of ends really abruptly because what I've heard is that when the writer-director was writing Season 2, it just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And so him and Netflix decided we'll split this up into 2 parts. And so the second part,
really
which is Season 3, comes out next year, I think, or something, or a year-ish from now. And I'm disappointed I have to wait that long, but it was still a really good season. Has one of the most badass, cool, trans women characters in recent media.
She's played well because I know people were concerned before it came out because we have the classic cis man cast as a trans woman thing.
Yeah,
great.
But so Korea, anytime it's from a different country, I hand wave. I'm
much
it's
bigger pass. Yeah,
very, very different. In Korea, public figures are not queer. People do not come out because when you come out, your career is destroyed and ended.
Right.
So it is. I was fine with it. Most people online that I saw talking about it, they would bring up some people have expressed some uncertainty about this, but here's what it's like in Korea and why it is not okay to have that expectation for them to do this, and the fact that they're even having a trans character in a show is a huge fucking deal. But
it's something that you can fight about in 20 years when that type of stuff is more caught up with, but for now, anything's good.
But extremely good character. Loved her. A lot of the new characters were really good, and it was just a very, very solid, good season.
Nice.
Would recommend for sure.
Yeah,
but then Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say this one critic I follow, Sid. Man, I was practicing this to myself, and then I just stuttered normally anyway. Sidhant Adlaka. He's buddies with Brandon, and he referred to this as lightning striking twice. He was not expecting season 2 to be good because how do you live up to the behemoth of season 1? And
it's surprising, like how well it holds up.
It makes me want to watch what I'm hearing about season 2 is making me want to watch the whole thing, because initially I was very like, I believed that it was good, but I also liked Stranger Things season 1, and everyone keeps raving about each new season because it's a cultural like monolith. Yeah. And I keep going back to each new season and being like, maybe it will be good again, and it's never good again. So now knowing that season 2 of Squid Game and hopefully season 3 are going to be good makes me want to actually give it a shot. So I'll probably go watch that.
I would say it's worth it.
Hell yeah.
I think it's
unfortunately
a good time.
I'm about to start rewatching Severance because season 2 drops in a month.
Real,
Too many
honestly,
TV shows.
I get it. I think for my point, a little side thing as well. I would call for people to support Squid Game season 2 if you're comfortable with it and if you're semi-interested in it, and if you're queer or an ally. Like, having a big property still succeed overseas to like an extreme degree. When they have such like a central figure from a extreme minority in their country is like a big deal culturally. So like supporting that is a good thing. And 100%. I would encourage you to do so if you would like. But other things I watched, well, before I get into movies I watched.
Oh my God.
I finished a horror book called... I forget what it's called. A Sunny Place for Shady People. It's a collection of horror short stories by an Argentinian author. And I read it as part of a new series I'm doing for the Casual Obsession website, where I go to the bookstore and I pick out random horror books based on a random number generator. And then I read the book and I review it. So this was the first one. The article is online on the website now if you want to take a look. But that was a really good time, and I'm really enjoying kind of reading more and experiencing more horror literature. And I'm excited to tackle more and more as we go.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts. It's the year of reading for Casual Obsession. I hereby friggin' decree it. We're gonna read.
Well, speaking of reading, do we want to make our announcement, or do we want to do that at the end?
Do you want to do that now? I'm good with doing that now, since we're talking about reading.
May as well.
Yeah.
So we have decided, and I promise I didn't hold a gun to anyone's head.
They have decided.
I'm blinking help right now.
Didn't in the past.
We have decided.
Tense, currently is in the present tense.
Yes, in the right now, this second. I wasn't going to say anything. I'm actually holding a gun to your head too, audience. But we have decided the book we're going to read for our annual book club episode. We are going to read Between Two Fires by Christopher Billman. It is a medieval horror. It's pretty rough. So I'm sure there's like some kind of does the dog die thing. I can put it in the Discord server, trigger warnings wise, if you'd like. But this is an announcement made now. So if you'd like to read along, you have until the first week of April to read this book.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm super pumped. I'm so excited to read it again.
I always enjoy our little like book club episodes, but also in the past book club episodes, normally we just kind of fly in blind on a horror novel.
Yes,
but
which
this
has
time,
been fun. Had
Nina
mixed results.
Nina has read this book and can confirm that the book is good. So I'm
Which is
excited.
scary for me, because if you guys hate it, then I'm going to question my entire
That's so
existence.
real.
But that's
Anytime I
okay.
recommend a movie or something, I'm terrified.
I think in this case, I like it so much personally that even if you guys hate it, it's not going to affect my enjoyment of it. So
Yeah.
hopefully you
and
like it, though.
if we do hate it, that'll be some pretty good conversation.
That will be a good radio, hopefully. But movies, Emma.
Finally, movies I've seen. So after I finished Squid Game, I was like, I have no ghouls except for Nosferatu. I am sick. I don't want to do anything. So I'm going to watch movies that I have never seen before that are highly rated by friends and associates. So I watched some bangers, as we call them. The first one I watched was Midsommar. I had never seen Midsommar, even though Hereditary is a great film. And
same here, actually.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I didn't know much about Midsommar. Like, I knew the vibes of like kind of small religious group in a prairie, and it's very bright and well lit, and you're supposed to pay attention to like the pictures and the paintings and stuff. But I thought the movie just followed this girl and her boyfriend as they visit this place. I had no idea there were other characters that traveled with them. And the things that happened to those characters were very surprising.
Harrowing.
Harrowing is a good word. This is such a weird, like, little movie, but it's extremely effective and disturbing. I had a really good time with it. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. And it was really good. Great time. Next movie I watched, which all of you I'm sure will be very excited about. I finally watched Challengers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I have controversial opinions.
No.
Soundtrack
I don't think
was
I'm going to
really
take
good.
this personally. Yes, incredibly good.
Soundtrack was very good. I had similar, not entirely similar problems with this one as I did with Love Lies Bleeding, in that I am asexual and I don't love like overly like sexual stories. This one didn't have like too much sexiness in it. I was expecting way more based on like how I heard people talking about it. I thought it was going to be a movie about like a throuple, and it was not that.
Yeah, kind of.
There was like one threesome scene, and that was about it. And it was just kissing. And so I was like slightly disappointed. And I think that might
Emma,
have like
both simultaneously
Nice.
to ace for this and
Could've been
also
more.
disappointed.
Romance is cool. I like romance. But yeah, it's not at all the movie I was expecting it to be. I really
This is
didn't.
something I've heard often.
I didn't particularly enjoy the way it handled its timeline of constantly jumping around like between 3 or 4 different timelines.
You mean like a tennis ball bouncing back and forth?
Yeah. And I don't know. I still gave it 3.5 stars. I think it was a really well done movie. I just didn't personally connect with it like a whole lot.
That's fair.
Valid.
And I don't regret watching it in any way, but it's
I won't lie
not
to you.
something that I would like revisit, I don't think.
Because I can't imagine seeing it without a sound system that's shaking my teeth.
Yeah. I
So
was
I
wearing
feel like-
headphones.
There you go.
I do feel like
Fine
watching
on
it-
regular TV in my experience, but
Okay.
I feel like watching it in theaters was integral to my enjoyment of it.
To your obsession with it, in fact.
Yeah.
Don't say that. That's not true. What are you talking about?
We all remember April, I think is when it came out. I don't know.
I feel like it was later in the year than that,
No,
but
it was
maybe I was
early.
wrong.
I don't remember when it was
Anyway.
because I just never paid attention to the dates. It was Challenger time. That's all it was.
I do
Yeah.
think Love Lies Bleeding and Challengers both.
April and May. Holy shit.
Let's go.
I think that Love Lies Bleeding and Challengers both, when they came out, were so unique at the moment that they came out that they affected a lot of people very much. But then they did get, like, I don't want to say overhyped even. I think that they were talked about in a really genuine way and people were pretty realistic about, like, their enjoyment of it. But I do think that maybe they got memeified a little too much. Like people started turning Love Lies Bleeding into the like lesbian bodybuilder movie.
Yeah, the way
and
that
neglected
they got flanderized was a little bit to their detriment, maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yep.
There's also a lot of like kind of Edward versus Jacob vibes of people like taking like sides and like all of this stuff, which hinted to like more complexity in the drama than I think was actually there.
People wanted to
characters wrong, I think.
Very much. And because there's so many people reading them so wrong in so many different directions, it makes you think that there's a lot more going on than there is, when really it is pretty dang straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, next movie I watched was Juror Number 2, the new Clint Eastwood movie.
I want to see that so bad.
I'm really excited.
Is now on Max. So it got a very limited theatrical run, but it is on Max now. So whoever wants can watch it. And I did. I've never seen 12 Angry Men. I haven't seen many like courtroom procedural dramas besides like TV show kind of BS.
Yeah.
I think this movie is good and it has like an interesting like message that it's discussing, but it fumbles a little bit in some of like the execution and finer details in ways that have bothered me. But like there are just like a few like legal things that they would talk about, and I would be like, oh, I don't know that I really agree with that assessment. But I think
because I forget that you know these things.
Yeah. I'm not a lawyer, but I went to paralegal school, so I did learn some things.
Exactly. No advice Emma gives is legally binding or meant as advice.
Yes. But I do think it was well done. Nicholas Hoult does like a great job. It's a good movie. It's fun. It's not fun, but it's interesting. I gave it 3.5 stars. I think people who are more into courtroom procedurals will enjoy it more, or more into like Clint Eastwood movies. But
I think I'm probably going to love it.
Yeah. Of the Clint Eastwood movies I've seen, I think this one's probably my favorite.
Okay.
Which isn't saying much.
I'm pretty sure I'll like it more than the
3.
ones. I think I've seen 2, and I did not like Gran Torino very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't love Gran Torino.
That's Gran Torino for you.
But yeah, pretty good. Pretty solid. Also, for my book series, I also use a 5-star rating system, and I like actually spelled out what all of the ratings mean. And so that has helped me in my movie rating as well. And so I'm going to be a bit more like actual pointed and like meaningful in like the star ratings I give to everything.
Ooh. Nice. But
last movie I watched was this afternoon. I watched Cuckoo starring Hunter Schafer.
Ooh. I want to see it so bad.
It's on
got Dan Stevens as well.
Hulu or Disney, one of the two. I've got the combined thing going, but
Disney for us, I believe, or Hulu. I mean, for us, I believe.
Yeah. But Cuckoo, I love Hunter Schafer. I came into this because I was like, I really want to support Hunter Schafer's acting career and see this movie. There are things to enjoy about this movie, and there's things to not enjoy. I think they had an interesting base concept, and then they're like, ooh, let's add some extra things on top of this base concept that don't really connect or make any sense to this like concept, but we're gonna do it because we think it's cool. And if those weren't there, I think I would enjoy the movie like more, but because of that, and because like there's a major character shift in how they view some like a very particular important thing in the movie, and they don't really rationalize like why that shift happens. It's like before a certain event they hate this thing, and then after this unrelated event happens they suddenly love this thing, and that's kind of like the carrying like motivation and drive for the rest of the movie. And I was like, I don't understand how we got here, but Hunter Schafer still does really well. I think it's a fun movie. What is that actor's name?
It's Nina's boy.
Are we talking about Dan Stevens again?
Stevens, yeah.
Dan Stevens. If you want to hear him doing a funny little German accent the entire time.
Yay! That's exactly
incredible.
what I want.
Yeah.
I think we have our
Highly
New Year's
worth
Day
it.
plan.
Because I already got to see him doing a funny little Queen's accent.
Mhm,
So now
mhm.
this is going to round out
I'm
the
a
year
quap.
for me. I'm a
Yeah.
quap from Queens.
Yeah. But I gave this 2 stars, unfortunately.
Sad.
It had some things I liked about it, but there was just like too many things that I didn't like for me to be able to give it like 3 stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoyed my time with it, and I would recommend it like to Noah and Nina. I think you two would enjoy it maybe a little bit more than I did.
Fuck you, Jade.
Jade might. I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever.
Jade, would you like to hear Dan Stevens do a fun little German accent?
I don't have
for a movie?
anything against Dan Stevens doing a fun little German accent.
Yeah. But yeah, those are all the movies I watched besides the one we're going to talk about today.
Ooh-hoo-hoo.
On what movie is that?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. And today we are talking about Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person, from a movie from Canada, from Quebec in 2023. Sorry, I should be wooing as well. My mom has dual citizenship.
Woo, Canada!
Woo, Canada! Yeah, it's a movie about a humanist vampire.
Yeah, could you give us a short summary of what
Seeking
Humanist Vampire
a
Seeking
consenting
Consensual
suicidal
person?
Perfect
is-
title.
yeah,
It
that's-
is an absolute
yeah.
banger of a title. You know exactly what you're getting into.
Very much. I did not expect it to be so literally about what the title was, but
Yeah,
I
right?
was very happy that it was, because that's what I wanted. And I was like, they're
Yeah.
probably going to pull the rug out from under me and do some weird shit. But it was like, nope, this is 100%
that's what it's
what
about.
it is.
Yeah.
It makes no
It's
attempt
like,
to do anything
this
else
is-
at all.
This is an extremely niche reference that some people in the audience will enjoy, but it's kind of like those Japanese isekai anime.
Yeah,
I was just about to make the
exactly.
same
Say exactly like what it is in the title. It's great.
I was expecting it to be more of a early, or like 2000s pop punk, pop emo like title, where the title has nothing to do with what the story is about. But I'm happy we got the isekai version.
Yeah. But who are you?
I'm Nina. I'm one of your hosts. My pronouns are they, them. I am here with other people who have different pronouns.
Like
some
me,
of them.
Noah, he, they. I'm here as a host. And I'm also here with other hosts who have different pronouns, such as...
Holy shit. I'm Jade. My pronouns are they, she. And I'm here with other people whose names and pronouns are also different.
Oh shit. My name's Emma, and I use they, them pronouns, and now we've introduced everybody.
Yeah, you can wide shot with the they pronoun on this, and you'll hit all the hosts just fine.
One of the
Yeah,
less
pretty much.
binary podcasts that you're going to listen to.
Yeah, this is true.
Not the
Yeah.
least, but it's like, it's down there, you know?
Cishet Noah punching the clock for the queer podcast.
So to give a serious, like, no spoiler synopsis for this movie, humanist vampire seeking consenting suicidal person.
There we go. Okay, cool. Anyway.
It's about a young vampire named Sasha who is having a really hard time getting past some psychological hangups to drink blood, and she meets someone who is suicidal and thinks that she's figured out her solution. Whether or not she has remains to be seen. And Noah, how did the critics like this one?
Fuck.
Noah did not do his part. Noah found the Ebert for this
Okay,
one.
listen, I did find the Ebert, and I was really
That's
proud of
not bad.
myself, and I was
Then
so
you got
excited that I found an
distracted.
Ebert that I forgot to do. Oh shit! A lot of these numbers carry over.
Some of these numbers are very similar, so there is
If
that.
you will give me 2 seconds to find the Metacritic numbers, which for whatever reason are not popping up because Google's a fucking dickhead. Anyway,
he barely had to change anything.
I barely had to change shit. Let's go. We got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic with a 70%, and Letterboxd with a 3.9 out of 5.
This is what happens when your movie is exactly what it says it'll be, is no one's disappointed, and so you get high ratings.
Yeah.
Also,
Rotten Tomatoes coming in with this is an original concept.
Yeah, when you make a comedy that's funny.
Mm-hmm. Very funny. Mm-hmm. Had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hit us with that Iberto.
As was mentioned, I got an Ebert. And by Ebert, I mean Randy Jones for Roger Ebert.
Let's go, Randy.
With
Let's go, Randy.
3 out of 4.
Let's go, Randy.
Let's go, Randy.
Clap, 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 clap.
Vampires are all the rage in film and television these days.
So true.
Some of them run hotels, some live polyamorously in Staten Island, and some dance the ballet while torturing their enemies.
Abigail
Creative
reference?
depictions of modern... Oh, yes.
This was Interview with the Vampire, What We Do in the Shadows, and Abigail in order.
I know that, but...
For the listeners... You're not the only one here,
Listen,
Jade.
if our listeners are too stupid to know about modern vampires, then that's on them.
Fair enough.
Creative depictions of modern... Shut the fuck up! Creative depictions of modern vampires have evolved. Storytellers are more cognitive in their exploration, investigating what lies underneath the blood-sucking lifestyle and how vampires exist in the world. In keeping with this trend, Ariane Louise's delightful humanist vampire seeking consenting suicidal person drives a wooden stake of complexity through vampire mythology, offering a fresh new take on a pacifistic protagonist. One evening, Sasha sees Paul contemplating suicide on top of his job's roof, but he doesn't follow through. Curiously, Sasha follows him into a crane yard and startles him with her vampire qualities, and he runs into a crate. As fate would have it, soon Sasha and Paul's worlds collide at a suicide help group where they form a pact, offering Sasha his blood so she could eat without moral guilt, and he could die. While Sasha and Paul's dynamic drives the film's story, the structure can be imbalanced. Developing the star-crossed loners and their world takes time. Then it deviates from its focus well into the second act as Sasha and Paul venture into accomplishing his dying wish. Yet, even in the story's shortcomings, Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person is a charming, dark, comedic romp for a new generation that is a welcoming new branch to the vampiric cinema tree. It's one of the year's strongest debuts, bolstered by its compassionate leading heroine while making a blood-soaked calling card for Louise C's.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Good.
As always,
review from Randy.
Full review linked in the old description. Read the rest of it. This is just 3 paragraphs lifted out of it. But
nice.
I generally agree with this review, which is why I am asking Nina if Nina's going first or not.
No, you can go first.
I rate this movie an 8 out of 10. I think it was a blast. Thumbs up. Had fun the whole time. Took me a second to get into it because I was struck by the inspiration to do something different 2 minutes into the movie. And then I came back to the movie and literally was greeted with, well, the art of clowning is vast. As the next line that was spoken. And I'm like, hell yeah, it is,
I'm a
brother.
big fan of his line delivery. Like when she's like, oh my God, a clown. And he's like, yep. 10 out of 10.
A lot of really
good.
funny line deliveries in the movie. Just all over the place.
Very
We'll
much.
get to that, though.
I'll take host privilege to go last.
I'm also giving it an 8 out of 10. Love it. It does pretty much everything that it's doing pretty much perfectly, I think. The soundtrack also really fun. A couple of themes that it keeps coming back to and riffing on. Very fun, very good. The like lighting and stuff, the cinematography is frequently really, really fun also, but it does this without getting too elaborate with anything and without breaking the like underwhelming tone that it tends to like sitting in.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good shit.
100%.
Yeah. Initially, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. But sitting with it today and like thinking more on it as we've been like sitting here recording, I think I'm gonna bump it up to an 8. I think like something that held me back partially was I was like, it's too much what it's selling itself to be. And I was looking for like something for it to distinguish itself a bit more. And no spoilers, I think it did. Like, I really like the ending and kind of like the angle they took on it, but like for most of the runtime, I was like, this is a very comfortable and enjoyable ride. I'm enjoying my time with this. It's very effective in what it's setting out to do, but I was like, nothing is like surprising or new to me. Because like I've watched a lot of vampire content, and I think like What We Do in the Shadows, both TV show and movie, like portrays vampirism and like its various kind of like offshoots, ethical dilemmas, and like other things in like humorous ways and non-humorous ways, to the point where seeing kind of the central conflict of this, I was like, this feels familiar. And I'm just kind of watching to see what they do with like this familiar concept. But still watching it, it was very enjoyable, very comfortable. I think the two leads do like a great job and play off each other really awkwardly, really well. And it was a really good time.
Yeah. This is an all 8 because the movie 8 and Sasha 8. So
you know what that means, everybody. This movie 8.
This movie 8. Yeah, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 as well. I said this in my Letterboxd review. But I watched 2 other movies this year. I watched Abigail, obviously, 5 times by now. And then I also watched Dinner in America, which is a non-vampire movie that shares a lot of similarities with this one. And I think that this movie did both of the things that I enjoy, which is like Abigail's not a unique vampire either. She's pretty much, there's a lot of jokes made in Abigail and What We Do in the Shadows TV series and movie. And in this movie about like, you know, certain things not being effective to vampires and like certain like things about being a vampire and aging or not aging and being around humans and stuff, where it's like Emma said, it's very like comfortable. This felt like it could take place in the same world as What We Do in the Shadows, but this is not a story that What We Do in the Shadows would be interested in telling. It lampshaded, What We Do in the Shadows lampshaded this plot line in the second to last season, and then decided to basically not do anything more with it, which I think was the right decision for that story. But it made me happy to see something like that explored with this, and it was very sweet. I liked the characters a lot. I really liked Sasha as a character specifically. I like it when a character, especially one that presents herself so goth, is allowed to be soft and tender and it's not portrayed as a weakness. I really loved the dad character. I can't wait to talk about him.
Yes.
So like there's a lot of stuff that like, yes, a lot of it is exactly what you think it's going to be and it's kind of predictable, but so much of it's just so freaking charming. I would rewatch it just to see some of those characters and moments again. So hard 8 out of 10.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because I'm
was a
gonna
fun
make
time.
Becca watch it.
Can I complain about Abigail?
Go ahead.
Just not complaining about Abigail, but there was there's a TikToker I follow, who was like, oh, like, let me go over like some of the bigger disappointments I had this year. And he talked about Abigail. And he was like, I was just so disappointed because if they didn't, they revealed the twist in the trailer, and like the movie is just all about like that twist, and so it was disappointing it got like revealed, and I just like couldn't get away from that. I'm like, buddy, the twist is revealed in like the first quarter of the movie. Like if something is revealed that early, it's not a twist, it's the plot. Like, literally, shut up.
Also,
so fun.
I watched the director commentary track. Radio Silence knew that the trailer was going to reveal the twist, and they edited the movie with the idea that the audience knows in mind. You're supposed to know that Abigail is a vampire when you go into the movie. My dad had not seen anything about this movie when he went into it during Christmas. Literally, they're at the scene where she's like, they have kidnapped her. And my dad turns to me and goes, so the little girl's the axe murderer? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh, Lord, I can't watch this. And then he proceeded to watch the entire thing. So...
How do you like it?
He figured it out. He liked it. He liked it. He laughed a lot at a lot of Dan Stevens lines, and he was very, very, very thrilled that the final girl's name was Cruz. The last thing he said before he went to bed was trust a Cruz to walk out of something like that alive.
Fucking king shit.
Genuinely. But yeah, no, that drives me nuts that some people still hold to that belief. It's like, maybe you're just allergic to whimsy. Content warnings for Humanist Vampire, though. This is actually really funny to me. This is maybe one of the funnier instances of the R slur, because this entire movie is in Quebec French.
Yeah.
And then the R slur is obviously fully understandable amongst the French. So it just really hits like a truck in a way that it usually doesn't.
Yeah, it also just figures into the larger bit where the English words and phrases that get used are just so fucking funny. The selection of things that people say in English is so goddamn funny to me.
Or in Spanish in some cases.
Yeah. What do we talk about Spanish?
Fun guys.
I love that guy so much.
He is so funny. I was so prepared to hate that character. Anyway, obviously suicidal, like discussion of suicidal ideation, a lot of it with comedic tone is a consistent theme in this movie. Like, yes, it's in the title, but it is a consistent theme throughout, and I think it is handled genuinely fairly well for the kind of themes of this movie. So be aware of that. Animal harm is a big one. There is specifically to a bat. So if you don't want to see a little bat get hurt, don't watch this movie.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it, though.
Yeah, that's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
If you're afraid of people from Quebec, then I guess that's another one.
That's a content warning for Abigail as well, just so that you know.
I do hate people from Quebec. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. I'm going to now read the very, like...
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
That's
God.
crazy.
I fucked up.
Isn't there something we...
Oh, my God.
I consent. Isn't
there someone you forgot? Hey, Emma, with the deepest apologies. How scary would you say this movie is?
It's not very scary.
This movie's not scary at all. No, I wouldn't even, honestly, I wouldn't call it a horror comedy. I would just call it like a dark vampire comedy, probably.
Once again, I think we're falling into the kind of thing of we watch a lot of horror.
Also this, yes.
But I can agree on this one. I think that this one's safe to show family who is not usually into horror. I would not say that about Abigail, which is a vampire horror comedy.
Very true. Very true.
But I would say that about this one.
This one is never trying to scare you.
No, there's some like horror sound cues when Sasha's like creeping up on Paul, and I found it very funny every time. It's definitely played for laughs.
Yeah.
It's not scary though.
I think like the scariest or like most startling part was like the hitting the bat with
actually.
What is it? Like a racket?
It's a badminton
racket. Yeah, that part I was like, oh, because it's like a wide shot and he just like slams it.
Very startling.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of, I think that the reason that it is so startling is because the rest of the movie is not that horrific. Not to go back to Dinner in America again, but there's some similar kind of animal stuff that happens in that one that, again, not really a horror movie, more of a comedy, but it had me legitimately more grossed out than anything in like Nosferatu did. Okay. Now. So what, a 0 out of 10, Emma?
Yeah, now you're allowed. Oh, for scary? Yeah, like 0.5 out of 10 for
okay, cool. For
bat
harm.
dying.
Okay, now I'll go. This is a very bare bones wiki article, but it does hit all the major points. I did read it ahead of time. Okay.
Is this a dig against me who did not read his?
No, this is a dig against me with 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Acceptable.
Noah says? I do this every time.
Noah says.
No, I go to read,
not this.
and I'm like, this is something Noah's saying. Anyway, the wiki says, in her childhood, Sasha, a vampire, is traumatized after her family attacks and eats a clown they had hired to perform for her birthday.
Oh my God.
It's just...
They're jumping right in.
It's really funny.
It's exactly what happens, and it's Anyway, as a result, Sasha's fangs do not sprout, and she is uncomfortable with the idea of killing people for food. Years later, she still refuses to kill and does not have fangs. One night, Sasha notices a teenager, Paul, attempting to jump up from atop a building, but he eventually decides not to. Later, Sasha's fangs suddenly emerge when she encounters him again, and he runs into a storage crate. In a panic, she runs back home where her parents have decided that she will live with her older cousin Denise to learn how to hunt people. Sasha is reluctant to learn and attracts attention as Denise feeds on JP, a man they had lured earlier, before running off. She reunites with Paul at a support group meeting for people experiencing suicidal thoughts. After the meeting, the two agree to help each other, with Sasha assisting in his suicide and feeding on him. However, Sasha's fangs disappear, and she tries to stall by asking him if he has a dying wish. Paul says he would like to get payback on Henry, his coworker who constantly bullies him. When they find out that Henry has gone to a party, Paul becomes hesitant about getting payback in front of everyone. Sasha suggests he could practice to boost his confidence. Paul then decides to get payback on a popular girl at school, his gym teacher, and his principal. At the party, Henry taunts Paul, and Paul bites his hand. As they run away, Sasha collapses from hunger. Paul then cuts his hand to feed her his blood. Henry and his friends find them and start beating Paul up, and Sasha's fangs suddenly emerge, and she kills Henry and urges Paul to go home. Denise demands Paul must also be killed while she helps Sasha bury Henry's body, but Sasha knocks Denise out with a shovel. Sasha runs to Paul and they decide to run away, but at a hotel room, Paul doubts their success. He urges Sasha to turn him into a vampire, basically saying that he's decided that he wants to live. After being persuaded, she bites him, but he struggles to breathe. Sasha calls the rest of her family, who are able to turn him into a vampire by feeding him blood. Sometime later, Sasha and Paul arrive at a hospice that his mother works at, where they are directed to a terminally ill patient's room. Sasha plays the keyboard for the patient as Paul drains the patient's blood into a bag. Again, bare bones, but I think the rest of it is pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that I would say to expand on this is that Sasha is also suicidal. They say multiple times that eating food would kill her, and she's shown contemplating eating food.
She buys
several times before
and just sits there staring at it.
There's a sign for a suicide hotline kind of shining on her. Honestly, pretty funny scene.
It is.
Very. With the poutine.
But also, that poutine looked really fucking good.
It looks so good.
I was hungry before when I was watching the movie, and I was so angry every time she had a delightfully wonderful looking plate of food. She's like, maybe this is it. Maybe I end it all by eating this poutine. And I'm like, give it to me.
I gotta say, watching this, I've never watched a movie and had a stronger urge for a Capri Sun. Because in this movie, she drinks blood from blood bags, and it's got the big tube from the blood bag, and she uses that like a straw, and it just looks like a great Capri Sun.
She's so little, and she's just buckled into her little car seat in the back of the car while her parents are arguing, and she's just
adorable. At all ages, she's just such a cutie. When she's an adult and she's kind of sad and she's sucking on a blood bag, and I'm like, no, stop making her sad. She's got these big sad eyes and these really expressive eyebrows. She's a very flat affect, very Lydia Dietz in Beetlejuice. But when she starts feeling emotions, you're like, please just make her flat again. I cannot take this.
Really fantastic performance from the actress for that, honestly, because she, it's not as though she's doing a ton. She has it so reined back, so dialed in. She knows exactly what she needs to do, and she expresses it so perfectly.
It makes her a very she's such a good character. I really, really love her. I really wanted her to just find a solution so bad. And I loved one of my favorite lines in the movie is when she and Paul are discussing whether or not she'll be able to turn him because she still can't get her fangs to grow. And he says something along the lines of, not to brag, but every time that your fangs have sprouted, it's because my life's been in danger. That's so cute. Their relationship is adorable because it's not explicitly romantic. No. They just like being around each other and they have a good partnership. And she cares about him from the moment she sees him because she's this hyper empathetic person. Oh my God.
Also, speaking of Paul, since we're talking about Paul, have you ever seen eyes that get further out of somebody's head? Holy shit, Looney Tunes ass man with his eyes at least 3 inches out there every single time. He's like, oh no, love that. What a fellow.
Every actor and every character. Like,
you should say that again.
Every actor and every character in this movie. I love the dad. I love the cousin Denise. I thought I was gonna hate JP, but the longer that he was around, the more I love him.
He's my favorite character.
He's so silly.
How everyone's so annoyed with him for existing, and he's just like, I'm a nice person if you give me a chance. I'm a person worth knowing.
Right, Denise? Huh.
Her and her cousin like sitting in the car like talking, and her cousin trying to convince her to kill JP and being like, you want to like make sure like suck him until he stops moving because you don't want to be stuck with him for like the rest of eternity. And then like her cousin starts like sucking JP, and she honks the car horn to like wake up his family, and she like runs to like chase her. And then she's like, fuck. And then the next scene we see like JP playing video games at the cousin's apartment. And it's so fucking funny.
And he's talking about like going to Machu Picchu and eating ceviche on the beach. And she's just like, I hope you had enough ceviche for the rest of your life because you're never going to have it again.
I love him so much because thinking back to his introduction, apart from the littering, the littering is a perfect introduction to him because it's shitty, but it's not dangerous. And that continues to be his personality. He's annoying as shit. But he never feels like he was leering. It feels like Denise singled him out correctly, but I don't feel bad for any worse than I should for the fact that they're stuck together now.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I love how she's clearly she is so bad at expressing her emotions. She's clearly taking care of him. She's dragging him around everywhere. She doesn't have to do
She's
that.
She's be mad about it though.
I love JP. I love Denise. I love Sasha's dad.
Sasha's dad is so good.
He's
like the classic. You hear a lot about people talking about like what parent they hope to be like, and especially for I think dads, it's kind of like the parent that your kid feels safe enough around that they can come to you if they need help. And like the moment towards the end where she's trying to turn what's his face? Paul, and it's like not working and he's struggling, so she calls him despite kind of being on the run from like smacking the shit out of Denise and running away with a human. She still calls him, and he brings the whole squad, and he kind of like is there and is helpful and is like supportive, and the family kind of starts to badmouth Sasha again. And he's like, hey, you said you all would be supportive. Like, we are here not to judge. We're here to help. And I'm like, yes, Dad, let's go.
I had forgotten that he was a character by that point.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's panicking because Paul's not breathing, but he's alive, and I'm panicking. And she goes to the phone, and I'm like, who the fuck could she possibly be calling? And when she said the word dad, I felt relief, like I just called my own dad. I was like, oh, right, he'll help. She has a good dad. I was so emo about this movie this whole time. I just wanted everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
Except for Henry. Fuck that guy.
Wow.
Him giving her the little blood bags in the cooler and the nice little note of like, just to help you with your first week. So fucking cute.
So cute.
Oh, I love him.
And Paul's mom to an extent as well. Because like same kind of vibes. I liked when because so at the end of the movie, something that the summary didn't say was that Paul had written a note to his mom. And when they turn him, Sasha says, your mom can't. He says, my mom will understand. And she says, your mom can't. No.
He's so confident
and one of the
she's just going to understand.
And then one of the last things we see before like kind of the ending scene of the movie is Sasha holding the suicide note in her hand. And you're like, she's going to give his mom the suicide note and she's going to think that he's died. And then the next scene that we see is his mom, and you see one person step into frame and you're like, oh, this is the scene where she's going to give her the note. And then another person steps into frame and you're like, hold on a second. And you get that reveal that the two of them have told his mom and have trusted her, and they've worked out a system with his mom. It was such a good reveal, and it was so well put together. It made me so happy.
Yeah. That whole thing is really what kind of makes this movie for me. I was really curious how the movie would end things, because like I've seen the plot of person turned into a vampire doesn't want to kill humans. Robert, who
was I gonna say? I was gonna say the main character, the actor who plays Pattinson. I was gonna say Robert Pattinson instead of Edward Cullen. Anyway.
But the vampire who doesn't want to eat humans, doesn't want to kill humans, and really struggles with it. And they have this whole thing where they're like starving and struggling, and their family's trying to convince them to just do it, and they're struggling because it's obviously a thing of like, I morally don't want to do this, but I also don't quite want to die either because death is scary. And so eventually, like, the plot ends where it's like, oh, there's like a bad guy attacking somebody, and then they're like, oh, I can just eat bad people. And this movie kind of visits that route where she eats the bully character because he's beating up what's his face. I'm so bad at character names. Paul, thank you.
The movie really never.
I have the Wikipedia up now. I'm not gonna forget. Yeah. But like the movie kept going, and so I was obviously like, okay, where are they gonna kind of take this? And Paul, after he became a vampire, talking to her and her being like, you can't tell your mom, and him being like, why not? And she's like, it's just like part of the rules. And he's like, well, we're vampires. We can do what we want. And like that in and of itself isn't like unique either. But I think like when it switched over to showing his mom and she's a nurse at the hospital, and them asking like, is she ready for like her concert or something? I was like, oh, that's a really sweet idea of like having the mom who's a nurse kind of connect them with people who are consenting and are like on death's door and like want to help. I'm like, that's nice. But then they added like another step where they go in and they're ending these people's lives beautifully, where they're giving them like a piano concert and they're sharing like rocks with them. And it's like this beautiful exchange of goods that I thought was like so cute. And I really love that as a concept and as the end journey of some characters who are vampires but who don't want to kill and who are more pacifistic. I thought that was like so effective and beautiful. And then this isn't dissing on the movie at all. It's just something I want to call out. But those two fucking nerds walking out of the hospital with their like dumb little sunglasses.
I love them so much.
I was like, these fucking nerds.
They're
and
so
I love
cute.
them.
It's me when I'm fucking in the Matrix, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so cute because it's like the thing that gets me about Paul is that it's really clear from the moment that she asks him what his dying wish is, and he starts saying like, this was so clear. He's like, I want revenge. And she's like, cool, we can do that really quick. And then he doesn't want to do it in front of people. And it's immediately clicks like, oh, you're not not that you're not suicidal, but you don't want to die. Because if you were really over it and there was no hope for you, you would not give a shit about doing this in front of people. And it's that kind of like makes sense why he finds a place for himself where he does want to live, because secretly he's wanted to live this whole time. He was just waiting for the right way to do it. And the moment where she's looking at like, because he's like, oh, I want to turn. This is the only thing I've ever wanted in my life. And she's like, okay. And she does it. And then she thinks he's dead and she's sad, but then she's looking at his notes for all of the plans that he had made. And that's when it hits her that like, oh shit, like this was like really it for him. He really did want this, and like we fucked it up. It was so oh god, I love them so much. It's so good and well written for that type of character, because I feel like with a title like this, you could go down the route of like very caricature, but the way that they wrote him was so good, and her, both of them.
Mm-hmm. And I love how casually he takes several aspects of the vampire thing. Because, like, when she first takes him back to the house, they're in her room and he's, like, asking questions. He's like, how old are you? What's your life expectancy? All that kind of stuff. What happens if you go out in the sun? And she says, we shrivel up. He asks about crosses and she says, well, crosses are more like an allergy. And he goes to church. But, of course, because it's in French, the way he says église is so goddamn funny. Because like the way that he's talking the whole way through it is just so like Letterkenny flat delivery of everything, as though this is a normal thing that he could just be asking questions about. And I love how when she says, yeah, it's like an allergy to church, his response is literally just, well, I've got allergies too, I guess. And that's it. No further questioning on any of that. Just like, well, yeah.
Derry's got allergies too, don't you, Derry?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I love when they're like, do you really think that this is like that she's traumatized by this? Has she been showing any obsessions? And then they look over and she's like on the little like drawing thing she's made, the sad clown.
Yeah.
The little light bright clown.
Oh my god. Some of the comedy in this is so well delivered. I was like, it's gonna stick with me for a while.
And for like delivery-based jokes to be hitting across a language barrier is really an accomplishment, I feel like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. 100%. The
PTSD. She can't have PTSD.
They look at it.
Yeah.
Could someone with PTSD do this?
I was a big fan of the principal scene, because it reminded me a lot of like 10 Things I Hate About You or Heathers, or Scream, where you have just the completely insensitive fucking principal. And then later on when he throws the dead bat at her and she's like, you get back here and clean up this dead bat this instant. Oh, I love anytime there's a shitty principal character. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Also the coach not taking care of any of his kids when there's a fucking bat flying around. Jeez, what a coward.
Yeah.
The bat hit, and I'm like, oh my god, did she transform into a bat? Can she get around as a bat?
That's what they're trying to do for sure.
Killed the shit out of that bat. I'm like, that is not Sasha. Nope.
Mm-hmm. I love that the terror of that, of like everybody in there being like that freaked out about a bat, hinted to me that vampires are just like a bit more commonly known about in the world. And I thought that was cool.
Some people also just
if it was
get
just
really
a like
flipped out
bat,
about
I didn't
bats
think
for
people
some
would.
reason.
Bats have
the
rabies. It's the rabies. If you get slapped by a bat, even if you don't think you've been bit, there is still a high possibility that you've got rabies. So anytime that you come into contact with a bat, you are supposed to, this is a PSA, if you come into contact with a bat, go get a preventative rabies shot right away, even if you don't think that you got bit. There is no cure for it, but there are things that can be done to keep you from getting it. So please do that if that happens. That's why people freak out when there are bats.
It is too late.
It is too late.
Yeah.
So that's something that was drilled into me.
This has been your PSA. Are there a lot of bats in Washington?
There's a decent amount of bats. There are bats here. There were a lot of bats in Washington when we used to stay in the Salmon Islands. There were bats that would fly over the bay and catch the bugs in their mouth. So there was a lot of, by the water, there's a lot of bats. Like in Austin, how there's the Bat Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We were fishing
I've seen the Bat Bridge, and I never got that warning. Did you get a preventative rabies shot?
Well,
no, we were camping.
Yeah, another time I was just out in the backyard, and it was kind of nighttime, and a bat flew into the back of my head.
Oh.
And I didn't do
Scary.
anything about that either.
Rabies shot.
I told people about it and nobody believed me.
The bat ran into you and said, "Squirp, squirp, squirp, squirp," which is bat for no one's ever going to believe you.
Yeah.
And then flew away.
That was Bat Murray himself.
Bat Murray.
So real.
From
so true.
Groundhog Bat Day.
Yeah.
The only time that I've known anyone who has actually gone and done something about it is my friend had a bat fly into them and also their 2 siblings. And they were like, that's weird enough bat behavior that we are extra gonna go and do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
Because, like, you know, if an animal is behaving normally and it feels like, oop, just an accident that this bat flew in me, whatever.
Kind of nothing.
But that bat was, like, all up in their business.
Yeah.
But yeah, my other thing was like, I feel like the vampire behavior in this is not out of place with the world of What We Do in the Shadows. I would accept this taking place in kind of the same general universe.
Yeah, it's just a really Canadian take on the same set of ideas, really.
Very much. Specifically, Denise and JP's relationship is very good. I also enjoyed the conversation between Denise and Sasha at the very end, which is very, like, it was very sweet and very much the most you could possibly expect out of Denise from the very beginning. That's the most, like, genuine emotion. And she's right. And she's, like, in her rights to sit down next to Sasha, be like, I genuinely hope that your friend pulls through. If he does, you cannot stay with me.
And I love
thumbs up.
The way that before she gets up, she just, like, sets her hand on Sasha's knee for a second and then just takes it back and gets up and walks away.
She's like, I have to take care of this man-child for now, so
Yeah.
have to get
So
him
good.
on his feet.
I'm a person worth knowing.
Yeah. Also,
Poor JP.
this is a topic ago, but fuck that principal. Because I feel like Paul was absolutely, like, it sucks killing a bat.
It's not great, but she was making it out to be something
totally,
that it was
like,
not,
okay
right?
to, like, kill a bat in that situation. But for her to, like, call in the parent and be like, your son might become a serial killer because he hurt this bat. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about?
His response of the only person I want to kill is myself. And then his mom
so
being like,
fucking funny.
And then they sit down in the car and she's like, so I know you hated the group things, but you gotta give it one more try.
Yeah.
good mom. She's really
Good mom.
trying.
doing her
She's
best.
great. I love her.
Hello, child. Do you still want to kill yourself? Uh-huh. Well, okay. Let's think about something else for a second. Maybe the group. Remember that? That he sits down and there's the vampire that almost killed him the night before, and he's like, with his eyes
The
rolling
two
around
of
on the
them
floor.
are so, when they sit down and make eye contact, oh my god, they're so cute. I love their friendship. I love when he's like, I collect rocks. That's another one where it's like,
geodes.
I have a knack
got
for
an eye for
finding
'em.
them. Ah!
I literally
So
finished
good.
watching this one yesterday, and I'm like, this is one of the cutest movies I've watched this year.
Uh-huh.
And there's still a decent amount of blood. Not a crazy amount, honestly.
No.
A lot of it is just like the kind of on her mouth thing, which is, you know, if you have a vampire movie and there's not a scene where a lot of it's like
They
off
have the
screen.
blood stash.
You have Denise's kind of routine that she has where she hangs dudes up on hooks.
I love it.
Go off, Denise.
I did love the blood stash. To quote Emma there, I think it's because it's always funny when you have like the sexy vampire who like they suck the blood and then they come up and there's one drop of blood on their lips and they go and wipe it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the
It's
Nosferatu.
all over my face.
I love it when it's all over the face. I love that in Abigail. I love that in this one. It's good when it's like their entire chin is red. I gotta watch more of. I gotta watch the Interview with the Vampire TV series soon.
I need to watch season 2. Season 1 was really good.
I heard season 2 was great, so I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's windy around here. Apparently, we're hearing
Noah and Nina just stopped and made really weird faces.
There were weird noises all around because we're on 2 outside walls here, so there was like wind noises coming from both sides.
wind on the left of me,
okay.
wind to the right.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about with this one?
Honestly,
Soundtrack?
I feel like we're running into the same problem we always run into with comedies, right?
Yeah.
Let's rehash the jokes again and again.
The soundtrack
So
is doing an awful lot of very fun things. There's moments where it's using these like very Richard Wright sounding ass kind of synthesizers, and that's very, very specifically fun and interesting to me. It's a neat thing to do that a low effort soundtrack would not be doing. It's also got recurring themes that it keeps coming back to, but not like lazily. I like it a lot. I think this movie sounds pretty much perfect for the tone that it's trying to have. It's very much doing vampire movie soundtrack stuff whenever it needs to be doing that kind of stuff, but also like vampire movie soundtrack that takes itself seriously during the scenes where you're trying to be taking things seriously. And then for the most ridiculous moments, there's just no music at all, and the moment is able to just kind of hang and speak for itself. I feel like the soundtrack is doing everything that it ought to do. I love it.
Yeah, agreed. Especially when, like, because the thing about, like, What We Do in the Shadows is it has a very iconic soundtrack. It's got all the, like, whimsical, weird instruments going on in it. So I think it's very tempting to do that now that we have, like, you know, the vampire comedy. So I appreciated that this one had its own identity a lot.
Oh, something else I want to talk about. Because she is a vampire from birth?
Yes, yeah.
Something I really enjoyed is when she's hanging out with, don't say his name, I have the Wikipedia up, I've got it, Paul.
I believe you. Yay.
When she's hanging out with Paul, he asks her how old she is, and she says she's like 68, I think. And she says that like vampires develop slower than like humans. And I thought that was interesting because the first time we see her, she was like a very small child. And I think she says like how old she was at the time. And it was like in her 20s, I think, or something like that. But I love, because obviously in like fantasy and like other places, we get these races or these people that live for like hundreds and hundreds of years. And you're like, how does that work? Do they like age at the same rate as humans? Do they have like the same like mental development kind of span until they reach like 18 and then everything just slows down? Or like, is it further expanded? And I loved this kind of specific mention of like, we just age really fucking slowly. And I was a kid for a very long time. And now I'm like a 20-year-old, 68-year-old.
And you see that with like Denise too, because Denise is like in her like late teens 60 years ago, and now she's like kind of in her ambiguous like early 30s.
Yeah. And I think it was just really cool, and I fucking loved that they went with that route.
Me too. I loved that too, because I wasn't sure when we saw her as a kid. I was like, wait, but she's a vampire. But I love this idea that vampires can be turned or born, because like the whole like late bloomer thing with the teeth. Also the implication, am I wrong? Was that psychiatrist not also a vampire? Did they go to the vampire psychiatrist?
Yeah, I think there's a vampire psychiatrist.
A very subtle vampire world building going on in here, because Sasha is also always reading those books that are very obviously books about humans written by and for vampires. Hilarious. Oh my god.
Very good stuff. I love the Vampire Society being like a little more subtly, because that's one thing that What We Do in the Shadows does. That's like, it's like the Vampire Council or whatever. And I'm like, that is typical. It's typical that there's a Vampire Council. I find vampire psychiatrists way funnier.
Yeah. So
like looking at her teeth, and he's like, well, the roots are long enough. Everything's there. I don't know. Like that's... What We Do in the Shadows couldn't do that because of woke.
No, it because of woke.
The liberal left won't let them.
That's what we're always saying on this podcast. Are we ready for Noah's notes? We think
we are ready for Noah's notes.
I think so.
Noah has 1.5 pages of notes. Not a lot this time.
It's a lot of repeating jokes, but it's jokes we haven't noticed yet.
It's just the way that this movie is going to be, though, right?
Noah says, well, the art of clowning is vast, is a great line I will be using. Similar energy to, well, the economy is in shambles. Noah says,
I just love art clowns funny. the art of clowning is vast.
Someone get that to that one person we know who is like professionally trained as a clown.
The non-practicing
I'm not going to say their name here. Yeah.
I'm a clown, non-practicing.
Yeah, them.
She went to school for it and everything, is registered, and just doesn't do anything with it.
Doesn't do it.
Non-practicing.
I think this is a line that she could use. Noah says, piano busker is something I wish I saw more of, parentheses, guy who doesn't live in a city voice. Noah, you will be devastated to learn that there is a very well-known piano busker in Seattle. I'm so sorry. Noah says, listen, jump or help me with the shitty work shift is always a funny line. I don't care. Yeah. That is so true. And that is also a mood. Noah says, I'm taking some dog shit notes here, but I'm enjoying the first 25 minutes so far. Damn, Paul, uncool Nina's gonna hate this scene. Is it the dead bat? I assume. Yeah. Well, I didn't hate it that much. It did take me out, it did catch me off guard, but yeah. Noah says, no, JP is here, Lamau. Yeah, true. And then what did we say about speaking Spanish? Which is the fact that she's laid down a few ground rules.
What did we say about speaking Spanish? And it's not su casa.
Noah says, keep calm and let's play bowling is so clunky.
One of the most evil posters.
Noah says, that is a joke that's just for me. I'll keep moving. Noah says, I love how we get electrical moments when her vampire shit fires up. When she was just about to eat and subconsciously she reminds herself not to here and there while just doing stuff. And then right here when I assume that's
when we kill Henry.
Kill Henry scene. Noah says, and I had this exact fucking thought watching the movie, vampire cultural appropriation as crossing your arms to sleep. when Paul's like, you can tell he's already thinking about wanting to be a vampire because he crosses his arms over his chest when he sleeps.
Also, underrated humor of that particular scene, they go through the whole thing where Sasha kills Henry and all his friends run off and stuff like that. And without saying anything, Paul just Irish goodbyes from this situation, goes home and goes to bed.
Yes.
It's just another night. You know, some crazy shit
Very
happened.
real.
He went home, whatever.
It do be like that. I think that is... Oh, yes. Noah says, did you sleep well? No, but I have considered every possible thing that could happen to us. So let me fill you in on that real quick. Yeah, that is so cute. They're so good. Anyway, that's all of Noah's notes right there.
Nice.
Fun movie. Definitely recommend it. If you like vampires and you like comedy. Yeah. Next time we're watching Noroi the Curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No fanfare about one of the found footage movies of all time.
I don't know anything about it. I'm so sorry. I will be excited next week when I've seen it, or next time.
I mean, I highly recommend using Shader Glass, the CRT emulator. Whilst watching it, it completes the experience, makes it look correct on a screen.
Jade, I want to say I love you. I appreciate you. I'm not going to do that.
Fair. That is perfectly fine.
I know that if we're going to do that, we will have to watch it separately.
I'm doing that.
Noah's doing that, so I guess we're watching it separately. Anyway, now you guys have been let in on the trick, and I will remind you again that our book club book is going to be Between Two Fires, and you should totally read it. So yeah, that is that for now. And until then, you can find us at casualhorrorpod@casualobsession.com. Am I right? On Blue Sky?
No. It's casualhorrorpod.com on Blue Sky. It's just
so
Casual Horror Pod across. That's our website. That's our socials. It is everything except our actual Spotify name or like podcast name, which is Casual Obsession.
Yeah.
Which you know because you're listening. But at Casual Horror Pod anywhere, basically. That's where we're at.
Cool. Yeah. And you can find me at Nina Wolverina on Blue Sky and Instagram, and at Nina Wolverina with a 3, where the E should be on Tumblr. I write books and I do art. I'm starting a new book project. Whoop-de-doo. I know I should be working on the 3rd book of my trilogy. I'm sorry, but you can get updates on what exactly I'm working on and when on those places. Noah.
Noah, you can find me as Bubba the Bad, BUBBADABAD on Blue Sky and Letterboxd. At time of release, maybe my Martyrs thing is up. My Nosferatu thing will be up. And Emma has an article on the website as well. Huge things. It's not just me. This is not Noah's vanity website. This is our vanity website. Let's go. Oh, and this year, my new film goal is I'm going to watch every movie I own. Not that I've never seen before.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through my entire, owned thing just for the sake of watching everything I own, but anything I own that I've never seen is getting watched this year. My owned list and
finishing the host/audience recommendation.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. There's something on the stove. I gotta go get that right now for the next 12 months.
Party Massacre 2.
That is the one I am definitely watching. Everything else is definitely getting watched.
I have given you absolute bangers, Noah. I have proven it in the movies you've watched so far.
You're lucky he's actually watched any of the movies that
I love them all. And I'm so excited for Grand Budapest Hotel. It's been on my watch list since it came out.
Yeah, you're going to like that one.
It's great. I love Grand Budapest
I think
Hotel.
that at this point, the only one that Noah's not excited for is Grave of the Fireflies.
I have given no one out.
Emma
I've
gave
said
me a
he could watch a different thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I didn't know that. Good. Cool.
Nice.
Jade,
and in any case, I have been Jade. You can find me on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For, and also on Letterboxd at The Fakest Fan.
And I'm Emma. You can find me in the Discord, or you can read the articles I'm writing about horror books on our website. I have 4 more books that I have, and I'm going to be going through and writing articles about. One is Mayfly by C.J. Lead. One is The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. Another one is Horror Movie by, I think it's Paul Tremblay.
Yep.
And the other one, it's upside down on my couch and I can't read it. So
I'll get to it.
You'll have to sit in suspense for that one. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.